You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, it's AFTERBUZZ TV's Game Control Live.
Hey guys, and welcome to this week's Game Control Live. Joining me this week on this week's amazing edition, all the way across the table, Patrick Dees.
I'm a total audible. I didn't see it coming. How are you doing, guys?
And next to Patrick, we've got Kohrmann.
Hi, everybody.
And this one, I wanted to do this because you guys are both tall ones. We have to make sure you guys are sitting next to each other.
Fair enough.
And the shorter ones over here on this side of the table, we've got Kaori Takee next to me.
Hey, I'm glad to be back.
Lovely as always. And guys, I'm Dave Klein, and we got some Final Fantasy V field music remix playing in the background by haconiwa.
If you want
It is quite springy.
It is.
Yeah, for this summer, we're playing some springy music. I know what you mean, skip your step. But in the booth, John Quick.
Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? I'm back. I'm up, doing fine. And don't forget, you can totally call in at 424-256-1729. That is, of course, if I remember to open up the Skype, which I just did.
Ha. So yes, make sure to call in 424-256-1729 if you guys are watching us live. Again, we stream live noon Pacific time every Saturday. And Rachel Steiner on the chat is excited because Grant is not breaking the mic today.
My mic is working.
Your mic is working. And R. Burton on the chat says, Miss Tifa, you are here. We're playing Final Fantasy music for Tifa over here.
Thank you.
Who was at Comic-Con? How was it cosplaying Tifa?
It was a lot of fun. I got a lot of pictures taken of me, so that was cool. Yeah.
It was like, whoa, Tifa.
Yeah.
All right, so today, guys, we got a bunch of console updates for you. We got a quote that we're going to be talking about. A little trouble between Eidos, not happy with Square Enix, maybe. Some quick hit news stories, Activision buying Activision. Yes, that's right. Shadow of the Eternals Kickstarter's back. Valve talking about Greenlight. EA having some lawsuit issues again, as always. They always seem to. Zynga updates, more video game movies in the works. But let's go ahead and bring that back and talk about the console updates and specifically what we can expect to see at launch, because we're having some numbers coming in now about how many Xbox Ones it looks like are pre-ordered compared to PS4s are pre-ordered, if we're gonna have shortages and whatnot. And it sounds like we're gonna have shortages from both fronts, but Xbox One has more consoles coming out of the gates.
I think it's a race to see who can have the biggest shortage. Because if there's like, oh man, we've got what is it, like 5 million units in the wild, and then we've got like another 100,000 or 200,000 like people wanting them and pre-ordered and waiting for their units, it's just going to create this like frenzy. Honestly, it's like half of it is creating the frenzy, I think, at this point. Especially, I mean, like they're not coming out in June or July. It's the holiday season.
Yeah.
I think it's a big issue for Sony, right? Not having that supply chain in the same state that Microsoft has. I mean, independent of demand, I genuinely think that, independent of pre-orders, that if Microsoft's got a more efficient supply chain, that they're going to crush it this year. Even if the Sony's in demand, even if the pre-orders are outpacing Microsoft's, you show up and you're a 13-year-old kid and you can only get one of the two. You're gonna get an Xbox.
Well, Xbox One is outselling Sony right now, by 3 to 1.
No, on the pre-orders, I think that was a function of supply chain, right? I think that's the anticipated yields of the boards.
I don't know if is that numbers from all retailers or is that 2 or 3 big?
I think that's all of them.
I thought the article referencing that was only their supply chain. Like they're going to be able to out-manufacture Sony.
Well, yeah, that's what they're saying, is they're going to be able to out-manufacture them 2 to 3 unit advantage at launch compared to Sony. But if they're both going to expect to have shortages, and Microsoft has a 2 to 3 times unit advantage over Sony, that means that they can sell more because they have 2 to 3 times more units to sell, even if they're both having shortages.
It's really interesting, like with the whole Red Ring of Death debacle that happened, a couple years after the Xbox 360 launch, and the fact that we know where they're produced at Foxconn, and we've seen them like create entire facilities to produce the Xbox 360. I'm sure they went through the same process in order to start production on the Xbox One, but we haven't really seen what Sony has in line for the PlayStation. We don't know exactly how many like facilities they've dedicated to it. It hasn't been opened up as much as Microsoft's has to the public.
Yeah. Well, we have a Lions fan on the chat saying that he's very surprised Xbox One is getting a lot of pre-orders. The more shortages out there, the more demand people will have. And Deanna who's finally on the chat. Thanks for coming on.
It's fantastic.
Usually on YouTube. Joining the chat this week also agrees with Lions fan that she's surprised that the Xbox One's doing so well. And a lot of that, the speculation is that's after they made their reversal. That's when a lot of these pre-orders started coming in.
Yeah, I could see that because honestly, that's when I did my pre-order.
Well, the reversal on the indie piece.
No, the
reversal on the DRM.
On the DRM,
okay,
right.
Yep.
But speaking of the indie, let's go ahead and talk about that because the indie scene, Xbox One has finally revealed that yes, they will allow self-publishing for indie titles eventually.
Right.
Not off the bat.
What I think that's interesting too is that I think a lot of people are relating to this as a reversal, and in reality, I think it was just a declaration. They finally came out and said, "Hey, this is how we're going to relate to indie devs."
Well, yeah, I never thought that as a reversal. I was specifically talking about DRM as a reversal.
Sure. Well, I mean, they did go out of their way.
They just didn't say anything about indie devs.
And they did say they hinted at E3 that you were still going to need a publisher to participate on Xbox. And I thought it was interesting the way that how that indie development community has been the real battlefront, right, in this generation. That they're fighting aggressively to message around that.
It's weird though. I mean, like some of the indies have made a lot of money, but they've made a lot of money for the publishers. So I mean, or the platforms as well. Because like you hear about these indie titles and it's like, oh yeah, it's like our Journey, not quite so indie, but still an indie game. It's like it's just starting to make money, and that's Journey. That's a game that was like rocking in this generation.
Yeah.
And then I think even some of the smaller people like Fez. He can't even issue a patch because he's so he doesn't have enough money to issue a patch. And it's good that this is like, like we're going to get self-publishing. So it's like, okay, the money that it costs to publish and patch a game is going to disappear.
But I feel like it really depends on the game and maybe the deal they have. Because you look at someone like Team Meat who made Super Meat Boy, and they made so much more money than they were ever expecting in their wildest dreams off of Super Meat Boy that they were set. And then you look at the creator of Braid, who's doing just fine. Jonathan Blow after Braid. I mean, these are obviously the highest-selling arcade titles.
I think that you have to follow up, meaning like you can't be like Fez and then not come out with anything.
Right, that's the issue.
Team Meat came out with another title, and now they have another one in the works, and they're both blockbusters in the sense of the indie world at least.
Yeah.
Well, my question to you guys is, so again, the indie community has been the battlefront, right? Both consoles have been aggressively marketing around, hey, we're the indie supporters. Does that move consoles?
Maybe.
I think it could.
I don't know. I don't have enough numbers.
I'll say from my perspective, I actually was excited for The Witness over a lot of other PS4 games, and that was from indie creator Jonathan Blow.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people are looking at it, but it just depends because I mean we haven't really seen new titles coming out like the ones that Xbox One were showing and trying to showcase. Look at all of our indie games we have. It's like Octodad and games that we already knew about for a long time. The one game that they did have was the new game by the guys who made Swords and Sorcery, which is such an amazing iOS game that did get me excited.
PS4 at launch is Transistor, which is the same people that made Bastion. So, I mean,
I'm looking forward to that game.
I love that game at E3, and honestly, like, these are games that I will play and buy, but the price point for these games and the amount of time that they're slated to end up taking out of my normal gaming week and my, what I dedicate, it can't justify the purchase of a $500 console.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's not going to drive console sales.
Isn't it going to cost more to develop games on the PS4 rather than on the Xbox?
It will. So, like right now, a PS3 dev kit or a PS3 debug unit runs about $2,500. What Xbox come out and said, right? And so what Xbox has come out and said, hey, they're removing all barriers, right? Any retail Xbox One can now be a debug unit.
But again, that's
Sony
going to be down the line. That's the only key wording there is that's not off the bat.
But still, that's going to appeal to developers.
The only difference between the PS3 dev units is like some kind of like software. And I know that Sony was the only reason that Sony did that was because they wanted the barrier was a price point, so that people couldn't go out and mirror the software and then replicate it on their home consoles. And I don't think Sony has done that this generation, and if they have, it could be a really serious problem for them, because like if you're talking about what it costs to get a dev kit for Xbox versus a PS4, like that's a pretty big difference.
Well, another note though with the PS4 I do want to point out real quick is that Sony, for specific indie devs, was giving them free PS4 dev kits to work off of. I mean, those were select ones, and that means they're not necessarily saving new people who are going to just blow us out of the water.
Nintendo's doing that too. They're handing out dev kits to some for Wii U's for free to some really
prominent Kickstarters,
inspiring developers and prominent Kickstarters.
Right. But see, they're eliminating barriers. This is what excites me about Xbox here. I know I get accused frequently of being an Xbox fanboy, but like they're I do. But they're really eliminating all barriers. What they're saying is, look, buy a retail unit. We know your gamer tag. We're gonna partition off your Xbox and feel free to develop in a live environment. Right now, how the debug stuff works is with an Xbox debug unit, you have to connect to what they call PartnerNet. It's a whole separate environment. It's not live. They're saying here, develop in a partition space, develop live. It's going to encourage creativity, and I think we're going to see some really cool things. I mean, I think it's an authentic drive to foster like innovation.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I was just talking about kind of the price points there and the differences. Sure. But I am excited about this indie program for the Xbox One that they're talking about, where I could take my Xbox One and make a game. I'm like, man, maybe I should do that, because I did get major in game design. It'd be a fun way to get back into it, because I'm more of a console gamer.
Can we call it Dave Control Live? That's all.
Yes. Now that I have my YouTube, is that?
I'm playing that game.
It'll be a game where you sit at a panel and talk on a panel.
It's just Dave Control. I want to be able to control Dave.
Have you goes through his daily life as he stops by mirrors to check his abs,
Yeah, that is my daily life right there. John knows, because he lives with me.
Just walks down the street, checks his abs in random windows and mirrors.
And if you use the Xbox One streaming capability, then it becomes Dave Control Live.
Excellent.
Right? But yeah, you know what? I am really excited about it. I agree. The only key point here is it's not an initial feature of the Xbox One that needs to be noted.
That's another thing. The amount of video that it records. The PlayStation is going to record, 15 minutes of video, and then the Xbox only records 5 at a time.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Is that a deal breaker for you? I mean,
I never.
And I think it's software related, so it's like, I just think it's like, oh, one company announced 15 at first, and the other one was like, okay, we're 5, okay, but we can do 15 later on or whatever. It's not. No,
it is funny to me though, because that's one of the things. It's more funny because Xbox One was touting at the very beginning, like, yeah, we're gonna be able to stream. It's gonna be great, and then it turns out you can only stream 5 minutes. A video, or record 5 minutes, and I just started doing Let's Play videos too.
It's just will automatically record the last 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So it's all about what's being recorded, even when you're not intending to record. In case something.
Right, in case you miss it. Oh my God, amazing! I got it. Well, you only really need 5 minutes for that, because if something amazing happens, you probably only need 5 minutes.
That is what we need to come up with. I mean, honestly, that's what you're thinking in your head. Like, you shoot somebody in the head in Halo, and it's just like you're flying across an open space, and you're just like, wow. It's amazing.
Yeah, you just need those 5 minutes. And we need Grant to do that, and then just constantly play that on repeat.
Well, my Xbox, when I power it up, I have the Modern Warfare Xbox, so you power it up and it's got the night vision goggles coming on. That's what I want mine. I want to hack my Xbox.
You know what I want to do now?
It's amazing.
I want to clip out you doing this and just play it in the monitor every week at some point.
Did you
As one of our sound bites.
PS4 as well?
I pre-ordered the PS4, and then I haven't pre-ordered it. Oh no, I pre-ordered the Xbox, but it's at a retailer it's not GameStop or Amazon, so I'm really kind of iffy as to whether or not I'll they haven't charged me for it. It's just the deposit.
I'm feeling the pressure. I feel like I need to pre-order them, but
yeah, me too.
Which have you two pre-ordered at this point?
I haven't yet, but I want to pre-order PS4.
Okay.
I haven't pre-ordered either, because there's a possibility I might get them, but I don't know. It's a maybe thing. No, but it's a maybe. So the problem is, if I don't pre-order it, then I'm screwed.
Right. Go through Amazon. They don't charge you till it actually ships. If you know you're going to get them.
I've actually thought about it a little bit after E3 and Comic-Con and all the revelations that have come out since then. But considering what I'm spending on the PS4 and the Xbox, I kind of want the Kinect. I want as ridiculous as it is.
That is the standard reaction.
It's peripheral. It's tertiary still.
No, they have some cool features for
what the games and developers, because I remember playing when the PlayStation 3i came out. I remember playing a driving game, and it like took my picture for the driver's license. So it's all about how well you get these developers to integrate that technology. And I think that Microsoft is like, Microsoft, instead of making it as, oh yeah, you can use the Kinect, or PS3, oh yeah, you can use the Eye, Microsoft is making it so it's like, you got to use the Kinect this time around.
Well, it's like the Wii controller.
I kind of just want to see, like, once they all come out, how people react to it once it's actually out, and really make my decision
Look,
then.
I thought Kinect was cool, but go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm excited about what the power of this new Kinect is, and maybe I'm just absolutely buying into the marketing hype. But like, how cool would it be if you and I are playing Call of Duty, and I got a picture-in-picture window of you in the corner, being like, take that left, take that right, like, and I'm excited about the picture-in-picture. Be kind of cool. Or, I don't know, like it's on your HUD. I also think, I'm excited about its biometric capabilities. Right, building a game around your biometrics could be potentially amazing, right? Like if it authentically can understand your heartbeat, and it knows when to ratchet up tension and scare the shit out of you, or bring it back down, being like, this guy is panicked at this point.
Yeah.
We don't want him having a heart attack.
Or we do want him having a heart attack.
So like, I think I'm excited about what developers are able to do with what they've said it can do.
I mean, I gotta say though, like I saw the Kinect at E3. They did a little walkthrough sample of the Kinect, and it did so much far more advanced than the original Kinect that I am excited about it. But
when I was doing the Fantasia demo, I was in a room with like 15 people, and we were standing so close to the person from Harmonix who was demoing the actual game, and it could still discern.
It doesn't mess up as much, and you can be closer to the screen. But regardless, our Burton on the chat says he sees the opening up of holes for possible hackers and maybe some custom firmware. And then Lions Fan says maybe if there's a free game with Xbox One or PS4, more of us would be want to get it.
I can see that.
Jason Cohen agrees with that statement, and R. Burton says that he pre-ordered the PS4 as soon as the conference was over with. Haven't done the Xbox One yet. I do want to move on to Wii U real quick and talk about that and the fact that apparently they have closed. Apparently they're currently not accepting applications from Japanese indie developers to make Wii U games.
They're Japanese indie.
I wasn't that surprised by that.
I kind of was though, because we've been seeing the Xbox One and PS4 so supportive of the indie scene. The Wii U is just like, no.
Well, Nintendo is accepting applications from like indie devs in other territories. It's just solely in Japan.
I wonder why, though, actually.
It's so backwards.
Yeah.
It has become the battleground. I mean, people are, Xbox and Microsoft are fighting over indie devs, and I don't. It seems like
even Japan, like they're fighting over Japan. Like we can't sell enough Xboxes in Japan.
Maybe it's their way to think outside their own box.
Well, Wii U is taking when a Kickstarter is successful and blows up, and then that Kickstarter wants to make a game on the Wii U, where they're like, oh, well, I guess since people already want to make the game on the Wii U and people already want to buy it, we'll give them the support.
Can't Nintendo just say like, oh, here's 500 Wii U dev kits, or let's just hand them out to like some prominent developers. Let's not give them a choice, because like you're talking about like executives that came out. Do we have a development in process for Wii U a couple months ago? And we're saying we don't even have a Wii U dev kit. We don't have any games we're making for it. So it's like, why not just go out there, make an investment as Nintendo, and just give them away.
Because that's not how Nintendo do.
Right, but they need to start doing it that way. Like, innovation is, I mean, so from a platform perspective, sure, they've innovated, but like their third-party support on Wii U is non-existent. Why not throw out those dev kits?
Yeah, definitely.
It would be going against how Nintendo has done business with third-party developers since the NES.
Not the Nintendo Wii, though. That was their big problem with the Wii, was they were too open. There's so many crap games coming on the Wii. But Nintendo's finally going to have a big third-party game, and I think this actually is a really big deal. Regardless of how you feel about the game, Call of Duty Ghosts is coming to the Wii U in November, on November 5th. So I think that's a big deal. I do, because they need a game like that.
Yeah, I think it's because they know that they're not doing very well, and that game is going to help them open more doors for everything else. I'm losing my mind. But
I don't know. This is all I have to say.
Boring.
I think it's important. I mean, regardless of how you feel about the game, they need that third-party support. And this is one of the biggest releases, always, regardless of how you feel about the game.
True, but does it move the needle?
I don't.
You can. I mean, the online community is nearly non-existent.
It does in the sense as if third parties, if it starts selling games, the games actually sell, then other third-party developers will be like, oh, games can sell on the Wii when it comes out the same date as the other versions.
Are you really gonna buy it for the Wii U if you have a PS3 or Xbox.
Which you probably do. And so day and date, like, I mean, again, the online community is nil. The install base is also 0. So I'm the same opinion. I don't know that it will sell well. I mean, I think it's a big deal. I mean, I think it's a shot across the bow for other, third-party support, but I don't know.
I just think they need it. I really think they need it. Regardless, I just think they need that third-party support.
Minecraft or Super Meat Boy on there as well. Like,
well, they're getting Shovel Knight.
That would get a change.
Shovel Knight
would be good.
Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight.
The Shovel Knight
I just got the Kickstarter just came through and was like, give us your email address and shipping so we can make sure we get you your game. I'm like, Wii U, baby.
Isn't that a nice thing?
Wii U, baby, yeah.
Kickstarter that actually ships shit.
But speaking of indie games, I think Shovel Knight's finishing. They're gonna wrap up just fine. But Ouya, let's talk about Ouya and talk about indie games because we're getting some mixed reports here as the reports are coming in. So the actual creators of the Ouya are like, well, we're doing better than expectations. But meanwhile, it seems like the only developer who's happy with their sales are the developers of Towerfall. They're the only ones, and they're like, and this is how many sales they made. They said we've made about 2,000 sales so far at $15 each. So that's over $20,000. But that is the only game that, and again, that's only 2,000 sales. That's really not a lot.
If it levels off after that, it's going to be
right in a month.
In a month.
But they're happy with that, and they're like, now we're going to start looking to develop for PC. So guess what? If you didn't get to play Towerfall because you didn't have an Ouya, they're looking to port it to other systems.
Okay.
But they're the only ones who are happy.
It's like $99. Go out and get it. Come on.
There's your 2,000 sales.
So I mean, this is that free-to-play issue I think with a lot of developers too, because the Oregon Trail developer Ryan Weiermeyer told Gamasutra apparently their game they made 501 sales total off of 13,000 downloads. So people were downloading it, but only 501 people decided to actually buy the game after that. Hidden in Plain Sight sold 1,900 copies with an average price of a little over $2.
Yeah,
and that
That's
developer,
a pay what you want title.
and that developer said the numbers.
I think it is.
He said the numbers exceeded his expectations, but he's noticing them falling off shortly. But a lot of developers were saying it wasn't even worth porting over and questioning if it was even worth porting over their title, because they've been getting so few sales off of the Ouya.
I was under a different impression. I thought actually people were like relatively pleased with mediocre to terrible sales because the port was so easy. It was 1 to 2 days work for one person.
Well, you have like Nimble.
and it's just
you're talking about some developers are able to do it more easily than others.
Right, it depends on the developer.
And
like
there's
Nimble,
different tools to do it.
The Nimblebit developer who made Nimble Quest, which I think I actually have on my iPad, but he said it cost $427. They made $427 off a profit, and he said, well, the port was worth doing because it was so easy to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you can do it over a weekend, like, hey,
it's just incremental revenue, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it
Get
just
an
depends on the
intern in
port.
there, have him do it.
well, they'll
said,
pay
John.
for it a lot.
John, do you have an Ouya?
No, I do not.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I don't think he looks like an Ouya.
Yeah, it doesn't look like an
He
Ouya
does.
guy. I could see that.
I do, but
You have an Ouya?
yeah.
Talk to me about the controller really quickly.
The controller still has problems.
Grant's like, well, I love it.
Like really, you're not getting it for the touchscreen anyway. You're getting it for you're honestly gonna get it. You're gonna get the Ouya and you're gonna play it using the D-pad and some of the other stuff.
Are you happy with it? Like,
Yes.
Okay.
I'm happy with it, but
Well, it was only
honestly,
$100.
And honestly, it's gonna take more games coming out for it. They won't admit it, but it's gonna take 3 games like Towerfall. It's gonna take 3 of them. And
But if Towerfall ends up porting to the PC anyways, then is it really worth the game that Ouya, or would have been better to get on a different console?
I would pick it up on the PC instead.
So, all right. So
Because my PC could run 3 of those games at once.
So Diana La 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 on the chat says, I personally don't like Call of Duty, but I would actually buy it for the Wii. If I had one, they sold a gun to go with it. So kind of like those innovations.
Gun?
But that's the thing about they are saying they are doing innovations for Call of Duty goes for the
Does he
Wii U
live in
gamepad.
Texas?
No, she actually lives in Canada.
Where do they sell a gun with a Wii U?
No, she's just talking about like a different peripheral.
Duck Hunt?
Oh, okay.
Nintendo?
Like, R. Burton on the
Duck
chat
Shot,
says,
yeah.
if the Ouya is still around
Duck
by
Hunt.
this time next year, it will be a big accomplishment for them. I don't see it happening, though.
I would agree with that statement 1,000,000%.
And Lions fan says, I didn't like the Ouya when it first came out. Now it sounds like my first impression was true because it ain't doing well with some developers. It's doing well with some, though. So some are doing okay, as you were saying, Grant. Some are doing
And it's
not
going to
doing
take
well.
a while because like you have launch titles for regular consoles and like it's like what they say is in development. We have 64, 32 games in development, and then what's the only thing available for 5-10 months after the console comes out is like a small selection of 5 to 15 games. Same thing with the Ouya. There's a number of developers who want to release games. If you look at the number
But the
of people
difference is the
on
quality
Steam,
of games.
Yeah.
That's the
Greenlight, for
difference.
example.
Isn't it not just the quality of the games, but the quality of the console itself? It's also kind of
Well,
cheap
the console's
looking.
quality. It's quality
like,
enough.
The controller kind of sucks. Like you want the whole package to feel good.
It looks a little cheap. It is cheap, but it runs well enough.
So another report. This is from Polygon. Is apparently 73% of owners have yet to buy a game on the Ouya. They're all just playing them for free.
The benefit of it. You don't have to buy all your games.
That's the benefit of it, but then it comes as a question for developers of is it worth making games?
Right.
I mean, there's the whole free-to-play concept of, all right, well, maybe are they making enough money off of those, you know, all right, buy $2 to keep on playing Candy Quest right now, that type of thing?
Yeah.
But are they actually making money off of that or not? Because that's where the question really lies, is if it's worth keeping to create games.
They need to put it in a number of homes. That's basically what it is. When you hear a story of a kid racking up a $6,500 bill on iTunes because he's playing a free-to-play game on his dad's iPad, like that is where the Ouya will benefit. With just putting it out in front of as many people as possible. Doesn't matter if you have free to play.
I completely agree with you, but right now it's only the hardcore community who really knows about it, and that's the market they need, is that casual market. I think that is where their money's at.
And that's it.
But let's go on to that's a quote. We got one specific quote from you. This is Eidos Montreal's founder, Stefan Dastos. And he is not happy with Square Enix. He's basically blaming poor Eidos sales on Square Enix.
He's not part of the company anymore, isn't he?
No, he just left.
Yeah, he just left.
But he was blaming it on
Did he leave
Square
because
Enix.
of this? Because I remember seeing the quote and then like seeing that he left, and I was having trouble like putting a timeline to it. Like, did he say something stupid and then decide to leave, or did he leave and then it would just help to justify saying
I think
something
he said
stupid?
this after he left.
Okay.
I would anticipate the reason he left was a function of the fact that they didn't sell well. I think that's why. I think that's why.
I could totally agree.
Yeah.
I think he was asked politely to maybe you should go on vacation forever, dude.
But I think there's a lot of legitimacy to vacation forever. That sounds fantastic. There's a lot of legitimacy to what he said here. Dave, do you have the actual quote?
I'm trying to pull it up, but I can give you one. There's a lot of quotes.
They have so many. They're all of the quotes.
So one of the quotes he says is, "We are in a situation that we have great games that could have sold more. They need, and he's talking about Square Enix. They need to attack that very, very seriously. Last year was supposed to be a home run season, but we didn't hit a single home run. Maybe a double or a triple, but they weren't home runs. And again, he's putting it on the Square Enix's shoes, saying that they did a poor job marketing." We brought three AAAs to the market, and despite that great lineup and those great critical reviews, we still managed not to respect our financial goals. So that really shook up a lot of people.
Even out of Eidos Montreal, I could seriously agree with that quote, because like that singular Square Enix development studio put out so much good content.
They really blew away.
Blow back on them with poor sales and inadequate marketing. It's just phenomenal.
No, the marketing was there. They were releasing. They were putting it in front of eyeballs, but they weren't.
Enough Tomb Raider. Okay, honestly, I had enough Tomb Raider trailers assaulting me on TV and billboards all around town. But unfortunately, it's not just trailers. It's not just billboards. It's about how you get the game reviewed, what websites you put it on, what kind of trailers you put out.
They put it everywhere. It wasn't so much the marketing that let them down. It was that Square Enix was like, hey, we're going to sell way more of these than we actually can.
100%, John. You couldn't have hit that out of the park more.
That's what I think it really is.
It's a function of expectations, right? I mean, ultimately, this comes down to a business model, right? They shipped 3 games, which was what, Tomb Raider, Hitman, and what was the other one? Sleeping Dogs?
Well, if you come in under
but then even before that, they had Deus Ex Human Revolution, which rocked. I mean, that actually did sell well.
Right.
But I mean, they've been releasing good games now. A lot of
titles.
They're releasing better games, frankly, than Square Enix is.
Maybe they should be.
Yeah, no question. It was a great acquisition.
This seems as kind of like a little bit of a knock to them, but maybe they should. This probably proves how little I know about the actual development side and the cost associated with it, because they keep it so close to their chest and it's like such a secretive element of the industry.
Yep.
Maybe they should cut their development costs. Maybe they should come in under budget on some of these projects. And I know it's hard because the budgets are so tight, but I think that might prove that like they're anticipating how well the game will sell ahead of time. They should cut the budget and they should just say, hey, Deus Ex, if we know it's not going to sell, or Tomb Raider, let's cut the last act of the game. Let's not finish up this level. Let's find out where we can edit it as an editor.
I like that idea.
I think the big miss was Tomb Raider.
Would you rather it fail and not sell the requisite amounts to justify a sequel, or would you rather it sell and cost that company millions of dollars and them say it's not worth it to do a sequel or finish the game or do DLC for that matter?
Well, some of the stuff I could tell is a lot of these games, especially Tomb Raider, had a lot of really in-depth mocap, and I'm thinking at the end of the day, is mocap really worth it for games like these?
Yes.
Well, it depends. I
mean,
don't know if you need it to be that in depth though. That costs that much money.
Look, I think they leaned really heavily into Tomb Raider. I mean, ultimately, we're not privy to their financials. We can see their quarterly earnings, but we don't know where they leaned into expectations. But I think they had an established IP, and then they won like IGN's Game of E3 the year before. They were banking really heavily on this.
Do we remember what the number was that they expected for Tomb Raider?
They're expected somewhere in the odds, somewhere in the park of like 6 million, and they only sold about 1 million.
No, they sold 3 to 4 million.
Yeah,
for
It was 1 million in the first couple months, and then 3 to 4.
But by
after,
the fiscal end of the
6
fiscal
months.
end of the fiscal year, they'd sold 3 to 4 million, which was still really good.
Yeah.
And we've touched on this on this show a couple of times, but if that's not sufficient for you to be a profitable game, something's very off.
Well, they wanted it to perform like a Call of Duty.
Yeah,
they
another
wanted
thing
it to perform like a Modern Warfare.
Another thing that happened was like they had for the behind the scenes featurette, they had Zachary Levi as the host for it, and this is just when he was coming off of Chuck. So I know that he wasn't necessarily the high profile or the high price kind of guy, right then, because
I'm
he was
gonna
looking
make
for a
Zachary
new
Levi
job.
my arch enemy.
Yeah, but
You don't like him?
I mean, for a behind the scenes, why the hell are you doing that?
Why are you even doing a behind the
lot.
scenes for the video game? Let's just say that
true
right
that.
now.
Thanks, Zachary Levi. You
Film
wrecked
it.
Tomb Raider.
And
Film it.
He didn't wreck it for me.
Do a documentary, film it, chronicle the development process, but don't release it until it's a successful game. You're not going to be putting out this amazing development video for an unsuccessful game in the eyes of the company. Let's admit that, because it did sell quite a few copies. But then, like, everybody's going to be looking at it going like, well, you're whining about the financials of this. Why are you bragging about how it was developed?
Well, then here's another thing though, is that they did have. I wonder whose decision this was, but Tomb Raider had a tacked on multiplayer that obviously has to cost money to develop. And I mean, their plan, you can clearly tell, was to sell DLC through the multiplayer, and you have to wonder how much did that add on to cost to do that multiplayer.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Which
that's
maybe,
true.
and was it from Square Enix who said no, you have to have multiplayer, and maybe that added production time and costs, or was it Eidos making that decision?
I think they
That's-
could have
and
redirected a lot of that money into the puzzles of the game, to be perfectly honest with you.
I like the tombs. That's an interesting point,
Yeah.
though. The time spent developing that multiplayer component. But it'd be interesting to see the model, because we don't. I mean, I don't think there was ever really a established multiplayer Tomb Raider community. But it would be interesting to see how many used game sales that mitigated. So I don't know if they just netted out, even there. I mean, I don't know. I'd be interested to see.
I played the multiplayer a bit just to try it out because I was running a review on it, and I was like, well, there's better multiplayer out there. There's no reason for me to do this.
I can imagine.
multiple
Playing
people
that game,
playing.
yeah.
I was able to connect and play. The multiplayer just wasn't great. It wasn't as terrible as people said it was. It just wasn't good enough for me to
honestly,
want to
wasn't
play it.
compelling.
You need thousands
gotcha.
of people playing it. It doesn't matter what game you're playing. In order to play multiplayer, you need thousands of people playing it, so that by the time 3 months down the line, you're still able to play it. Like
That's
Team
not
Fortress,
true. Like Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean like on console
just kidding.
multiplayer. Like, hey, can you connect in like the people? But for a game like Tomb Raider, you're not playing it with like the people in
Arena-style multiplayer.
Well, it's also
Let's
just
say
I think it's just the way they
arena-style
did. Like
multiplayer.
Assassin's Creed did a really good, interesting multiplayer when they
I
added it
agree.
on.
Yeah,
It's so different,
Rich
so
says
unique.
that multiplayer is getting out of control. Not every game needs it, and I totally agree with that.
totally agree with
I
you,
would
Rich.
rather have like games like Mass Effect and BioShock without multiplayer at all.
That doesn't need it from a consumer perspective. I don't need Tomb Raider multiplayer, but frankly, from a developer perspective, it's obviously been necessary.
Right.
It wouldn't exist if it weren't mitigating those
Well, it's
used
all
game
about
sales.
that DLC, and
Absolutely.
the DLC, and basically the DLC, and then also further down the line, people want to buy for like GoldenEye would be local multiplayer.
right.
But
They
I mean,
need-
that's very specifically it has to be done well though, and that's where the problem is they're mitigating costs to this when maybe it's not worth it if it's not done well enough.
Yeah, I would agree. But I mean, either way, right? If 3 to 4 million isn't successful, they need to find ways to monetize that title well past launch. So I mean, I don't know. And due to the Xbox DRM reversal, I think we're going to be seeing this tacked on multiplayer for a really long time. That's why it really bums me out to an extent that they reversed that.
So another thing that another quote from this developer was that Square Enix is in a tight spot because there are compromises that are made, investments that are made that should not have been, and things they didn't invest in but should have. Yeah. Communication is very lacking. So he's blaming a lot of this on communication issues and also where they're actually doing their funding.
That's where it becomes so clouded.
We're talking about now too.
Yeah.
It becomes so clouded at that point. Like you never know what these companies spend on it until years later, and if that information gets out.
So in short, thanks Zachary Levi for wrecking Tomb Raider. Thanks. Thank you.
I mean, as much as you might like him as an actor, I know Owen Harper on the chat, Rachel Steiner was saying like, but I love Zachary Levi. You might love him a lot, but he's not going to sell copies of this game,
No, he's
frankly.
not.
There's
I was
no
just
reason to
joking.
do that.
He's not harming it either.
He's not what?
Jason Cohen's on the chat
No,
says they
I
need
know,
to
I'm just
stop
kidding.
making everything online multiplayer. Whatever happened to co-op games? And before anyone says anything, Call of Duty co-op mode doesn't count. And he's talking about co-op RPGs and co-op hack and slash games. You can do co-op in Dark Souls. Just saying. Just saying. All right, let's get to our gaming moments of the
Holy
week.
shit,
though.
Dave got his requisite Dark Souls reference for the day.
It's the AfterBuzz
I
drinking
will say
game.
this.
Take a
I
shot.
bought Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition on my computer during the Steam sale, so
Yes!
Did you? All right.
you have a convert over here.
Hey!
We're all slowly being
I think.
indoctrinated.
I mean, awesome Let's Play
He's a
video. You guys gotta
reaper.
check it
I
out.
love it.
Yeah, you guys have to watch my Let's Play to
Yeah.
get trouble
Yes.
so you can
Really
take
good.
notes.
Dave
Take notes.
Control Live.
I'm gonna play it off the cuff.
I'm
not
not.
gonna- I'm
No,
not
you
gonna-
should play it off the cuff. It's just more of if you're having issues.
I'm having serious. Yeah, Gary and I are having serious issues.
Just to give you some advice. But anyways, let's go gaming moments of the week. Let's go ahead and start with Patrick.
Okay. My gaming moment of the week. So I spoke last week about how I'd so I played Metro last night, which is the dark and super heavy game. Dark.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Played this, what do we call it? Systemized desperation. And then I went right from that into Last of Us. Also a very dark, zero hope type of game. So it occurred to me I'd been playing 2 hours or so of Last of Us, and I said I really need a palate cleanser, something that's just not about wanting to beating somebody to death with a brick. So I downloaded this Kaori's Gunslinger, which is this, as you can see, it's the cel-shaded animation shooter, and it's unbelievably fun. Did you guys have a chance to play Bastion at all?
Yes.
I love Bastion.
Yeah,
Bastion's
fantastic
great.
game. Do you remember the narration piece of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this game is a first-person shooter with Bastion-esque narration elements. So
Oh,
the
nice.
narrative's told where he's talking about what's going on, and you'll play through certain elements of the game. So you'll see he'll kill these two guys. He'll kill, and then he'll get to a part and he'll go, well, that's not exactly how it happened, and he'll rewind it, and then you'll play through that same piece of
Unreliable
game.
narrator.
Exactly, but it's done fantastically, and sometimes it's somebody calling him out, be like, those weren't engines
You liar.
yeah, those weren't engines you were fighting, those were the Chinese, or something along those lines. And so and then you'll replay through these certain elements, and so it's a surprisingly deep game. So it looks like just this fun old Western shooter. It's gorgeous. It's $15, and you play as you're playing through it. There's a really deep kind of RPG element. It allows you to play it 3 different ways. So there's this pistol slinger where you eventually get
That's what I want.
dual pistols. It's fantastic. That's the route I went. Because you can go dual pistols and
I
go
wanna feel like Clint
blazing into a
Eastwood.
game. Yeah, exactly. And so you can run into a room, you push through the saloon doors and just shoot up a bunch of people. You can go with a pistol, with a rifle, which is more of like a sniper type gameplay. And then lastly, you can play the up close, down and dirty with a shotgun. You go and just blast fools. And so it's really, I was very pleasantly surprised, and it acted as an amazing palate cleanser. I could just go into a game, have some really fun Western type gameplay, and then go back into beating people to death with bricks in Last of Us. But
This game looks really fun.
it's really fun.
It's really
and,
fun.
Yeah.
The
and
last Call of
gorgeous.
Duty-
The
Wasn't?
Kaori
No.
series is generally written and great.
The price point the price point at this point is great too.
And I'm probably 8 hours into this game for $15. I've had a great time with it. Like I said, there's RPG elements to it, so there's persistent progress, and it does really fun, kind of quirky things. So, for example, you see the chickens right here. If you shoot a chicken, the narrator comes in and goes, "Well, I thought we'd be here for a while, so I thought it'd cook me up some chicken." Just because you shot a chicken,
Yeah.
or
They
it's
should
like,
have had I thought they should have had like
I was
a
hoping
Link
for like
or a
Zelda style
reference.
chickens attacking. Yeah.
that'd have been
Yeah, I
amazing.
went to the same place as you, Grant.
Yeah, and if you shoot a pumpkin, he's like, for no reason at all, I shot a pumpkin. And it's just, I don't, like, this game is just fun. And so if if
like
you've been
this game.
playing these dark, heavy games that just weigh on you, where you're killing people with bricks, or you're shooting money bullets into people's faces, and you want something just fun to play, I highly, highly recommend Kaori's. I was very pleasantly surprised.
So now I know that when you play Last of Us, you like using bricks.
I mean, it's just an example of like terrible things that you do to people, right? A spiked bat into somebody's forehead,
God,
these
yeah.
types of things.
Yeah,
It's
some
good
of these
things.
games really do get heavy. But
know
when
what's
you're playing
funny?
The Last of Us and Metro Last Light, those two in particular are kind of like, oh man, I want to go play some Minecraft.
Exactly.
It's
So I
also-
needed a palate palate cleanser a little bit.
I've been playing Earthbound recently because of it being re-released for the Virtual Console.
Awesome.
And it's just funny thinking about the fact that your character is using a bat and you're attacking ants and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm just imagining my head like attacking ants with a baseball bat and smacking down on them.
Or cranky old ladies.
Or cranky old ladies.
Or hippies.
Are you liking it the second time around? How's your experience been?
It's been mixed because that old school RPG element is so slow. I never like the first person perspective when you go into battles, and that's what Earthbound is.
Right.
I always liked the game. I never loved it as much as everybody else, but the writing's hilarious.
Yeah.
The writing's really good.
It holds up pretty well?
It holds up pretty well. It's just, it was never my favorite RPG. I'm sorry, let all the hate come down on me.
The internet just crashed.
He's talking about Final Fantasy 6 or 3 or Thrix, if you want to be a dick about it. That
I do want to be a dick about it.
I believe that's your old school favorite, right?
Yeah,
Dave?
well, Secret of Mana, but that's an action RPG. But yeah, FF6 is my favorite, or Chrono Trigger is actually my favorite in terms of that style. But I like it when you see the characters actually moving. I don't like the first person's perspective as much, but I think I like Breath of Fire more, honestly, which is that first person perspective. But let's go to Grant's favorite moment.
No, I'll go last because I haven't told any of you what it is.
Okay.
And I don't want to preempt any
Oh,
of
you want to be like,
No.
I see.
He's running
honestly,
anchor here. I like it.
Totally nice because like if I hadn't told any of you yet, and I suddenly came out with like, well, guess what, my gaming moment of the week, and it's like yours, then that'd be like a dick move.
Oh, I see.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead
Isn't
and
it not true? I mean, like, God, I didn't.
All right.
pay
Well,
attention.
I could make up a new moment of the week like that. It's all good.
Yeah, you have moments.
I got moments.
I got plenty of moments.
This was actually one of. I'm going to talk about mine then because I was talking about this.
Do it.
Everyone's hating on me now in the chat. By everyone, I mean Owen
Like I
Harper.
said, the internet crashed when you said you didn't like that.
Look, I think the game's hilarious. Okay, it's just not my favorite of
He
RPGs.
likes the game. He likes others better, and those others better include Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI,
which are some of the top games of all time.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with you.
All right, so this was actually one of Kaori's favorite moments, but she decided not to use it because we can't use the video because it's TMZ, and I don't want to get hit with the copyright infringement,
Yeah,
so we're
fair
not
enough.
going to show it. So I'll just talk about it. Mike Tyson, they filmed TMZ, I think it was filmed Mike Tyson saying that he could never get past Glass Joe and Punch Out.
No, no, that's incredible.
Which is hilarious to me because
you can beat Glass Joe with your eyes closed.
I know you can beat
That's
Glass
not
Joe
a
without even
challenge.
playing.
Exactly.
So I mean, I think he was just like joking and trolling them.
Okay, all right, fair
I
enough.
think he had to be because
Fair
there's
enough.
no way to lose against Glass Joe.
Nope.
At least he knew the character's name though.
Yeah, that's great.
But Punch Out's one of my favorite games of all time. Specifically, Punch Out featuring Mike Tyson version because it's so much better.
Amen.
So much better than Mr. Dream.
So I was in San Francisco last week, and there's a bar in San Francisco called Soda Popinski's.
No way.
Unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
amazing.
Did you go in? You should go in.
I didn't go.
How dare you?
And then you became even more red when you walked in.
Exactly.
Soda Pop Finsky's crazy. I love that game.
I just wanted to add, like, one of the funny things was the reporter actually asked him, "Have you ever beat yourself in Punch Out?" That was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, that was funny. Yeah. It was just a great video.
Yeah.
Kaori actually shared it with me, and that became my moment. But
That's fantastic.
it's just because Punch Out's one of my favorite games of all time. So
Absolutely.
anything regarding that, and I like boxing too.
Have you picked it up recently?
I mean, I owned it for NES. I have it on the Nintendo eShop for Wii U. I have it for the Wii. Actually, I got it for that. And I have the Wii Punch Out because they made a new Punch Out for Wii.
It's one of those
And I
things.
took boxing classes. I like boxing a lot.
It's one of those things where you pick it back up years later, and it's like muscle memory. You can get all the way back to Sandman without thinking about it.
Sandman's where it gets hard again.
I agree. Sandman for me is way harder than Tyson.
Because I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Sandman was
it's all
way
muscle
harder
memory.
than Tyson for me.
But it's still fun. It still holds up.
I totally agree, man. It's an amazing game.
Totally holds up. All right.
Great moment. Great
You gotta
moment.
watch for their tells. You gotta watch for the tells.
Totally. Great moment.
All right.
Mine
Kaori.
is basically there's a fan art who makes I can't speak things out of beads, and what is this? This is not mine.
This was the other thing that you sent me to.
Is it?
No.
Is this Grant's moment of the week?
No.
His hidden
I haven't
secret
even
This
told
is
moment?
not
John, so-
mine.
What is yours, though?
Okay, then never mind.
Okay.
We're gonna stop playing
This
that.
is a
stop playing
commercial.
that.
7.
That's I sent you the wrong link, but that was something I was looking at. Anyway.
FF7. All right.
It's part of my browsing history, if you will.
Kotaku posted this fan who makes like little statue things out of beads, and it was like in Final Fantasy II. There's a scene where Palom and Purim sacrifice themselves and petrify themselves so everyone can get saved. And basically, it was like a
So he created a scene out of the beads in the petrified area,
yeah.
like the moment where
the
everything's
moment
empty,
exactly
yeah.
where they petrify themselves, and like Tella and Cecil and all of them are saved, and Yang. So it was a really cool bead art thing. and it's not
Oh,
there. But
I like that. I did see that on Kotaku.
Tweet it out.
Right?
Tweet it out.
Yeah.
I'll tweet it and I'll put it on the YouTube.
Very
link.
cool.
You should post these to your Twitter and then have people like, because honestly, like Twitter's starting to have that thing where they have the galleries up, and like the kind of game art that people are coming out with now is
I
just
love
fantastic.
game art. Yeah,
Yep.
I love game art.
But like,
It's-
and then
it's
taking
amazing
it
what people are
beyond the
doing.
computer and like actually making crafts out of it. It's insane.
It is insane.
I
Like,
totally
what did you
agree.
make for Comic-Con? Did you make that?
Yeah, I did.
That's crazy. I honestly have a lot of respect for people to do the cosplay and then take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And Tifa is
I'm excited
awesome.
I'm excited
She
for
is awesome.
BlizzCon.
Best FF7 character. I don't care about you two like Eris. Tifa's way better.
Yeah, Eric sucks.
She's a lot hotter.
Them's fighting words, Dave.
She's a lot hotter. I'm sorry. I like her. She's fun. She's friendly. Eris is like, I don't know.
Eris is
Tifa
like a
seems like a
weakling.
fun.
Completely unattainable,
hang out
Dave.
with.
She's a
almost like-
fictional character.
It was almost like when Eris was on your team, you're like, oh god, we have to drag her along.
Yeah. I was like, Tifa, you're coming with me. And that was when I was like a kid before I knew about girls. I was like, I like Tifa. She's cool. All right. Grant.
My secret last moment gaming of the week is Shadowrun Returns.
Dun, dun, dun.
The Kickstarter funded indie project is now rebooted, back and released. You can get it on Steam for about 19
Don't you mean
bucks.
Shadow of the Eternals, not Shadowrun?
No, Shadowrun Returns. Shadow of the Eternals
Oh.
is back on Kickstarter.
Right.
Shadowrun Returns is an
I got
RPG. It's top-down isometric view. If you've played games like Crusader No Regret, you enjoyed like old school Diablo. It takes place in a really like neon, futuristic kind of like it's like an alternate universe. It's like a bit of steampunk, bit of future, and stuff like that. It's very thematic, very fun game, very inexpensive. Go and get it. It's my game of the week. I'm enjoying it.
Shadowrun
Right
Returns.
now.
All right, real
Have you
fa-
backed it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Backed
real
it
fast
and
because
played it.
I just found this for Kaori.
Yay!
Ah,
Isn't that cool? And it's made
That's
out
so
of beads.
awesome. FF4.
That's incredible.
Isn't that incredible?
Is it
Yeah.
those little two-dimensional?
Yeah, like the
pixel
little
thing?
beads that you like
Can
iron
iron
out.
them.
Yeah.
That's sick.
I don't mean to be
It's
dick-
fantastic.
Was Sid in
That was
that
an awesome
scene?
Yeah,
scene in
Sid's right
FF4.
there.
Well, yeah, is he in that scene in the game? I didn't
Yeah,
think
he
was.
is. Because
Oh.
remember, they all come out and you're like, why are there 6 people? We can only hold 5 people. And then they die, and you're like, oh, that's probably.
And you're like, no,
Yeah.
the twins turn themselves
The
to stone to
twins.
save everybody.
They redeemed their annoyance in this scene.
Yeah, I
By
just ruined that.
sacrificing
We just ruined that for everyone. That's okay.
That's fine.
At this point, we can ruin
It's a
FF4.
very old game.
You should have played it by now.
And Owen Harper's like, that's my favorite scene from FF4.
love
It's
that
a
game.
great
It's my
moment.
favorite.
Because she's got good
Fantasy.
taste.
All right, so John, I know you have a moment of the week too. I want to
John.
give you your moment.
Yes. There is a fan out there that's actually making an FF7 demake. Here recently, he's turning FF7 into a 16-bit like
yeah.
squash box game.
I think that's sick.
Interesting.
I saw that too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I saw
I
that.
thought your moment of the week was Persona.
For the Persona 3
Yeah.
movie. I mean
That's my moment of the week.
that's
Hell yeah.
fun and all. Don't get me wrong, I like that. I was
Your
definitely
priorities are all fucked up, man.
well, screw that. It's getting adapted into a movie, and to be perfectly honest, Persona 4 had the better story, and it was already adapted into an anime series.
Yeah.
So I suggest you go see that, and watch the Persona 3 movie afterwards. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Right.
We care. You care.
So your
I
moment of the
kind
week.
of care.
All right, let's get to some quick hits that we care about, like Activision Blizzard buying Activision Blizzard from Vivendi.
Wow.
So they bought themselves out from Vivendi for $8.2 billion.
Yep.
Something
a
like
little bit of money.
That's a
$5
lot.
billion in stock.
It was, yeah,
options and stuff
essentially
like
buying
that.
out stocks and all that, so
Yeah.
they would own their own company as opposed to Vivendi owning them out.
And
Huge
Vivendi
news.
still has a significant interest in them, correct?
No, I think they bought themselves out.
Not entirely. They're definitely
I
still
know they
shareholders.
have. I know they still have shares in the company,
but
but
not
at this
controlling
point,
interest.
They have
yeah.
control.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we think
They
about
have
this?
shares now. Now the Activision has control. This is huge news.
then it moved-
I can't think this is any other way.
Well, the news just came out not too long ago that Vivendi
out-
was pulling a ton of cash out of Activision, right, for a long time. And I'm surprised that they were able to move so quickly and buy themselves back to avoid that in the future.
I wonder how planned it was. Like were they meeting and they're like, oh yeah, then we'll sell it to you, or if it was like a kind of like a little bit more hostile than than congenial.
It felt, and again, anecdotally, it felt really hostile because I know Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision, put together a group to buy the remainder of that, so they had control.
Led a group himself.
Personally, so it felt like a very strategic and covert acquisition. Like, hey, all of a sudden we're independent, and I wonder what that means. I mean, if they're looking for additional, creative control.
It's insane. Honestly,
it's insane.
Maybe we'll see games releasing a little bit earlier than 7 years.
They have so many franchises which they just turn over, and it makes money. Like, hey, we turn over Rock, and there's another, Call of Duty. So it's they can take their Blizzard, and make a new MMO. And they can take their StarCraft and just turn them into multi-billion-dollar properties.
The second release. I got StarCraft 2 when it first came up. I didn't get the second add-on to it. Did you guys get it?
No, I haven't gotten the StarCraft.
Yeah, I haven't heard that many people talk about it. When it first happened, people were like, "Really, you didn't get it?" And I was like, "Well, I don't."
Well, the reason is I have so many other things I'm playing right now, and the price of it when it came out, like there are so many of these collector's editions produced for the StarCraft 2 expansions that I'm not rushing to get it. I'm waiting for it to go on sale. It seems like
Blizzard's not doing as well as they were before, and I think maybe Diablo 3 was part of that. World of Warcraft continues to taper off, even though there's still 7.7 million subscribers.
Right.
They have something that they're working on, though.
They're still tapering off. Yeah, but I'm just saying, Diablo 3 is something they were working on for a long time, and it pissed a lot of people off.
They've got their tentpoles. I think financially they're in a great space. They've released their quarterly financials. I mean, I think they're fine.
Okay, World of Warcraft is still continuing, 7.7 million subscriber base.
Let's just put it this way: they haven't had a failure yet.
Yeah, but I mean, they print money. Call of Duty, despite all of our fatigue, still sells gangbusters.
Yeah.
I mean, they can ship whatever they want. They've got Destiny lined up.
You're talking about games that haven't they haven't impressed God, that's all. I mean, they still make money, and they still validate their production costs with continued sales. None of these games that you're talking about at Blizzard have been failures in the fact that they haven't sold what they needed to.
I'm not saying they're failures at all. I just meant it doesn't seem like they're doing as well as they were doing a generation ago. That's all I mean.
Blizzard's clincher is their next MMO.
Yeah,
that's it.
I think the problem is that Blizzard doesn't have the rabid fan support that it once did. You used to have people who are diehard fanatics for Blizzard who will stand up for them and praise them.
Yeah.
There still are. I'm not saying that people aren't playing.
All of Asia, come on.
At
least
will
Korea.
Always be.
But I'm not saying that people aren't playing their games and don't love the games they put out, but it used to be Blizzard was the name of God on the lips of gamers, and that's
just
changed.
because of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, it used to be kind of like a
you can't have an MMO that lasts 10 years. You're gonna have to come up with something different.
But it's not even that. It's also Diablo 3. A lot of people didn't like as much. I mean, they bought it, but a lot of people were upset by it.
I mean, after some time. My point is they still have tentpole games, right? They've got Destiny, right, which is I think what they're leaning into heavily. They've got Skylanders, which literally just prints money and will continue to print money. Not only and two different revenue streams. There's the game, but also the toys. I mean,
I forgot about Skylanders.
I mean, it's an it's a cash cow.
They've talked about it a lot, but that is their perfect situation.
Well, it's brilliant.
Did you see the response to Disney's Infinity? Because Disney kind of cribbed it a little bit. Did you see Activision's response? No. It was amazing. They were like, we at Activision would like to welcome you into the toy gaming space and applaud what you've done. It was so tongue-in-cheek. It was fantastic. Nice. I was actually really proud.
I like that. I enjoy stuff like that. But keep speaking of Kickstarters, like Grant's Kickstarter, he was talking about Shadowrun Returns. We also have Shadow the Eternals Kickstarter is back, and they're like, hey, remember all that horrible stuff that happened with the last Kickstarter?
Remember our developer who went to jail?
Don't worry, this is all good. This is all good. So their goal now is not 1.5 million, which was the original goal. Now it's $750,000.
And there's no episodics now, so they're just going to release a single episode under this.
Because they purport to have secured funding from some unspecified other source,
he said
right?
That he had, with the original Kickstarter, he said that he had 2.5 million of funding lined up that would be added on top of the original funded goal on Kickstarter. So now he's basically just, whatever agreement you had probably was going to run out after a year or after a certain amount of time. He's just saying, my agreement's still there.
By he, you mean Dennis Dyack?
Yeah.
God, man, one of the more interesting people in gaming as far as I'm concerned. What an arc, too. Do you guys, all that PR speak and that nightmare about Too Human. And he's coming
out the I don't know.
It's the whole thing.
At this point,
it's just a mess.
I feel, it's just a mess. At this point with the first Kickstarter failing and then the developer afterwards with the child porn scandal, it's just like, They have so much. They had so much positive energy when they first launched their Kickstarter. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it!" Now it's almost kind of this tired thing of like, "Well, they're back again."
Please give us money, just please.
I'm
Just
excited
give us
about
some
it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you gonna back it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I love Eternal Darkness.
Proof is in
and
the pudding.
I loved Eternal Darkness. I was excited at first, and honestly, I'm kind of tired. I'm like, I don't know. After everything happening, I don't know. But let's move on to more indie projects with Valve, because Valve is apologizing about Greenlight, saying that they didn't do a great job with developers and customers, and they're kind of like admitting that they didn't do the greatest job with it.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about that? I mean,
Still an ongoing process. For me.
I mean,
I still want to see stuff get approved. Like they just approved another round of games, so I want to see the stuff approved, marketed, and then released.
I mean, I was really listening because I was like, Grant's gonna have a lot to say about this. Apparently not.
It's a weird announcement, right?
Because the reason is because it's so. Like, it has to exist for a year. It has to keep going on.
It's a weird announcement to me because I think curation is difficult just in general. Look, I mean, Apple hasn't figured it out with iTunes at all, right? I mean, there's tons of like games copying each other. I think that's hard. And so the other piece of it too is that any future improvements to Greenlight are going to be in the background. So like none of this is very going to be consumer facing. Just to come out and say we're not doing a good job, we'll be better. It was just a weird announcement to me. Exactly, and a lot of it's going to go take place behind the scenes. And so it was weird for me that that's news, but good on Valve for like improving the process.
I think halfway there. I guess.
I think that's what it is. Like, remember we talked about how Blizzard like used to be kind of the name of God on the lips of gamers. Like Valve used to be too, and Valve has still continued to kind of be that. They've managed to keep that. I think absolute faith.
They can do no wrong.
Yeah,
it's
like that's
ridiculous
just it.
to say that one of these companies, Blizzard or Valve, because they're not doing anything right now, they're not still like high up there.
Well,
I still think they are. I mean, Valve has not done anything wrong to like lower my like opinion of
That's
it.
just
they haven't been releasing games. That's what they've been doing wrong, but in my mind. But anyway, regardless, the point with this is that I think it's just because a lot of developers have been coming out complaining about Greenlight, and I think this is just to save face for the sake of that.
Right.
I think that's what this is.
Yep.
I totally agree with
So
that.
EA is now another lawsuit again. EA is another lawsuit. Hey.
Aww.
Yes, I agree. Applause.
Yeah.
This time with
Target.
Madden. Apparently, they've been using an old code from from the early 1990s Madden franchise. They've been keeping and using in all their games, and they haven't been paying the people who wrote that code, which
How
they
do they
should have
make
been doing.
mistakes like this?
This is
Yeah, he was a college football player
I don't
too,
know
right?
if it was a mistake. I think it was a mistake, if you know what I'm saying.
You're talking about like code that works in a very particular way in order to allow the game to function in a certain manner. Like that code, whether it's derivative or it's been updated slightly, still exists purely because of his original work.
And it's also a copyrighted code.
Yeah.
So
he had a good case. He won a good case, and he got the money that he deserved, which is interesting. I mean, like, and what's really interesting is that the contract that he had with him stipulated that any derivative works and anything that used his work down the line, doesn't matter if it's 10, 20 years later, like he gets royalties off.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the exposure is, because to your point, that code he built the AI scripts that let like all individual AIs run routes and whatnot. Like to an extent, like Madden today is still reliant on probably parts of that DNA. So it'll be interesting to see. Now they go back and they review source code for every iteration of Madden, and we're gonna see how much money this guy's owed. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree. So next up we've got Need for Speed has a game coming out, but not only is Need for Speed going to be having a game, we have another big driving game movie. Gran Turismo is going to get a movie. Just wanted to throw that out there.
We got a racing game.
Hey guys, check this out. For some odd reason, people are still going to see Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
We have racing games.
They get good.
What if?
They're amazing.
They are.
What if we just do that?
And what if? Okay, so Need for Speed has Aaron Paul. Let's get Bryan Cranston.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, that's not true. That's not a fact.
They totally should. They totally should.
That would be hilarious, though.
Oh, that'd be
I'm
the
with
best.
you though. The Fast and
Breaking
Furious
Bad.
movies, I like them way more than I have any right to
don't
like
hate
them.
'em.
I totally. You know what else too? Fun
Apparently
fact.
the last one was supposed to be good.
The fun fact too, all of the Fast 5 movies exist before Tokyo Drift. Just let that sink in a little bit on the timeline, on the continuity.
And we totally just caught up
right?
with Tokyo Drift in this last movie. We
Incredible.
caught up.
I just learned that the other day. Just blew my mind.
And well, I mean, like that's Universal. The Need for Speed movie is being produced by Universal too, and it's going to have like you're not going to have like competing storylines. This Gran Turismo is going to have like competing themes. Like you're not going to, because of Universal controlling both Fast and the Furious and Need for Speed. They're not going to like say like, oh, you're going to compete in the same audience. Like the Gran Turismo will be competing for the exact same audience.
Totally the same audience. But let's move on to some Zynga news, some Zynga updates, because we got some losses reported. Here is what it is. Yep, $15.8 million loss. Whoops, all right, so that is their loss for quarter two, just quarter two losses.
Conveniently,
alone.
the same amount they're going to pay
Don Mattrick.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Almost exactly the same amount.
Good luck, Donnie.
But Don Mattrick has a plan in place, apparently. And also another thing is apparently they were delving into the U.S. gambling market. Why is that so surprising that Zynga was the one of all companies to go into delve into U.S. gambling?
Yeah.
They're backing away from it, though. John, perfect theme song for Zynga.
Poor Zynga.
Perfect.
Not really.
John killing it in
Well,
the
they're
booth
not
today.
exactly an evil empire, but here you
They
go.
kind of are.
They're like at the end of the series, the Empire. They're getting hit really hard. They lost the Death Star. The rebels are basically kicking their ass, and like I don't really see
They're
them
holding
like
on with,
yeah,
like, one
they're
hand.
really. I mean, like they lost more than half of their daily users apparently as well, which is just insane. They are getting hit hard.
It's also I think people are finally getting tired of social games too. Like Facebook, everyone's like, stop sending me requests.
Right.
I'm done with this crap unless it's Candy Crush.
Mattrick's a great Darth Vader, though, if you think about it. That's fantastic. Well done, John.
Well done.
He's positioned really well. Like, I think this news plays well to Mr. Mattrick's future in the sense that, like, this is a win either way for him. If he can turn
his contract, he'll get
Maybe
his
he'll
money
have
and
a
he'll be
Zynga
done.
console.
But it's failing so miserably that if he doesn't turn it around, it's like, well, he stepped into just a shit show. But if he turns it around, then he's a superhero. Like,
And
it's a
he made a ton of money
win-win.
either
I
way.
don't see how he's going
Exactly.
to turn this thing around.
He doesn't need to.
But I don't see how Zynga's going to.
I mean, it's his job too, so he
believes in
needs
them.
to.
he should.
He doesn't. Admittedly, he doesn't need to, but he does believe in them, and he has good friends in the company, so he probably will try his hardest in order to turn things
Of
around.
course.
But I think that he can actually point to all the problems that they're having and say that it's systemic and it's indicative of the way the company was being guided before he arrived. So it doesn't matter if they lose money for the next couple months, like half a year or a year. Like if what he does now gets them in a good footing, then he can just like
write his own check for the rest of
It
forever.
is his job, though, and that's what he should be doing. But our burden on the chat saying that Star Wars reference, we need Rachel on this one.
Hey, we did that by ourselves. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So Rachel last minute couldn't make it, guys. She will be back.
She didn't
Don't
phone
worry.
in a Star
Don't worry,
Wars
Rachel will
reference
come
for
back.
crying out loud.
I mean, but it's all in the games with Zynga, and all their games are kind of the same at this point. You download all of them, they feel the same, they look the same. They're going to need to change the games.
Yeah.
And that's why Donnie's there.
That's why he's there. Hopefully, well, they're
I don't
backing away
know.
from U.S. gambling, so that's good. All right. So with that said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you our question of the week, which would be
Question.
how for the indie scene. Who are you guys kind of favoring what they're doing? Do you like what we use doing, kind of limiting it so we don't get a crap load of crap games like you see on the Xbox indie market?
Or Ouya.
Or the Ouya market? Or do you like what Ouya's doing, which is open for everybody? Do you like the PS4 market concept more? Do you like what Xbox One's doing? I gotta say right now, honestly, I'm favoring Xbox One's plan. I really am. I think Xbox One, what they're going to be doing is awesome.
Are you suggesting that Wii U shutting down Japanese developers are saying Japanese developers don't create good indie games?
No, he didn't say
No,
that.
I didn't say that
I
at
know,
all.
I'm just
but,
kidding with you.
I don't know. But I mean, I'm just
He
saying.
heavily implied it.
I'm just more saying, like, do you think because like Nintendo had the seal quality, which they really needed with the Wii? I'm just saying, maybe that's kind of like a seal quality is a good idea with indie games. Because if you look at the Xbox 360 indie market, it's a sea of crap that you have to delve through. Xbox Live Arcade is great. Xbox Live Indie, there are some good games. Impossible Game is awesome. There's some really good ones, but there's a sea of crap there.
Yep.
And I have some of them, like Try Not to Fall, because it's a funny game title.
I like what they're saying. They're really on point with their messaging, right? Because now there's not going to be a delineation between indie games and XBLA and AAA. They're just all games. Now you can search by latest indie or search by sports. So I think at least what Xbox is saying right now, I think their roadmap seems to be way more friendly, and I'm actually kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I am too. But what do you guys think back home? We want to hear from you. So with that said, that will wrap up our Game Control Live. And again, make sure you check us out every week on YouTube. Go to Game Control Tube, our new YouTube channel. If you want to watch us live, go to AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can check us out live every week, Saturdays at noon Pacific time. Join us on the game chat. Not the live chat, it's the game chat. And talk with us. Check out our Twitter account at Game Control Live. And this song is Song of Storm. It's from Zelda. It's Cam 3 mix by Cam 3 Leon.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
or
it sounds
Chameleon,
more,
I would believe. But now it's starting to sound like Song of Storms.
Yeah.
But it's a very cool remix. I really enjoy this one by Chameleon or Cam 3 Leon's YouTube account. We will have links for you in the YouTube description or iTunes, because you also listen to us on iTunes. And
it's a podcast.
That will do it for this week. If you guys like Tomb Raider, stick around, because right afterwards we've got Tomb Raider Rewind for Game Control Rewind immediately after this on the live chat. So guys, we will see you next week. And once again, I'm Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein. That is Klein.
And you can find me at Kaorius, Kaorius.
Go for it.
You can find me at P to the Dees. I also host a little podcast. There's been a modern renaissance in video game narrative. We talk about video game narrative and a bunch of other total random shit. It's much more conversational than the news show. Pixel by Pixel. Check us out on iTunes. And I'm P to the Dees on Twitter.
To the Dees. I'm on Twitter at GAK, and you can find me writing during the week at nerdluster.com. I just put up a review of Dynasty Warriors 8.
Yeah!
Dynasty Warriors 8. Go check that out.
All right, guys. And John.
And you can find me at NowQuick on Twitter, and there appears to be a bomb ticking going off somewhere around here, so I should probably take care of that. Talk to you guys later.
All right, see you guys.
Follow that guy.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Later.
Have a good week.
As the bomb blows up. Beep, beep, beep.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.